they will see the exact same thing that you're seeing here as I'm presenting. All right. So let me explain a little bit more about CHCI. CHCI was founded back in 1978 with 5 Hispanic members of Congress. So the members of Congress are senators or representatives. At the time, there were 5 Hispanic or Latino members of Congress in Washington, D.C., representing everyone from across the United States. One was Puerto Rican, one was from New York, one was from California and Texas, and then I think one was also from New York, so 2 from New York. And so they started this coalition that's called the Caucus, where they brought all of the Hispanic members together and they joined to work on issues that were important to their community. So that's why we exist, because the Congressional Hispanic Caucus originated as an effort to promote Latinos. And so our mission was eventually developed to be developing the next generation of Latino leaders. And the way that we do that is providing several different programs, which are scholarships, internships, and fellowships. And we also work with high school students. So we work to do kind of college prep, college access stuff, all the things you remember from senior year of high school, whether it was more closely recent or farther back. We do programs for everybody. We started off at the graduate level. So our members of Congress who founded CHCI, they began bringing out people that they knew from their hometowns, from their communities, leaders in the schools, teachers, people like that, to come join them in their offices and work on issues that were just very different. Issues can be land use, it can be veterans affairs, it can be education, it can be different forms of STEM policies, so funding projects across institutions, funding projects across kind of national laboratories as you have here in the state. And that kind of helps you put our programs into a context for you. So now this is a little out of date. Last year we had served at least 1,700 students. Our alumni base across all of those programs is roughly 3,100. So between our fellowship and internship programs, we have 3,100 alum of our programs. And so that's everyone from those who went on to become doctors and lawyers, work on Capitol Hill, a couple have run for different local elected official offices. They are, a lot of them across the country who are Latino are alumni. And so our pillars, just like any other type of organization, we have pillars which are to educate, empower, and connect. And I won't go through these one by one, but that's the way that we define much of the work that we do as an organization. And so our being here, our intent is to share what we do with you to hopefully empower you to either apply for our programs or just stay on track with where you are. And so I'll walk through a little bit more about each of those programs. So we have 2 graduate students for sure, right? Are there any other grad students here? You are in a grad program? Okay. So our fellowship program, I'll speak about our fellowship and internship program a little bit. The internship is for those of you at the undergraduate level. So you have the opportunity to come out to Washington, D.C. for anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. And that is between the summer, the fall, and the spring. You can only come once, so it's up to you. And that opportunity is for you to learn what the work is like in a congressional office. So you'll come in as an intern day 1, learning what it's like to answer phones, speak to constituents on very different things. You'll get some happy callers, some angry callers, but they're just reminding the member that the member works for them. So the member of Congress is the person who they elected to represent them. So if they get angry, they have a right to be angry because they had a right to vote for that person. So that's a lot of what we talk about in the internship program, is that it's not just a professional development experience for you as an intern, but it's also for an idea, a place for you to gain some knowledge on what the member's job is and what their staff does to support not only their work, but then you back at home. So moving on to our fellowship programs, we have the public policy program. So the public policy fellowship program is after undergrad, and that is something that you can apply to up to 2 years out. So after undergrad, if you want to work for a little bit, you can do that, or you can apply as a senior to enter the following fall. It's a similar experience, but our job is to then get you a job after the program. So it's 9 months. It runs from August to May. So it's a commitment over that time span where you'll work on Capitol Hill. You could potentially work with a federal agency with their kind of government relations office. You can work with a national research sort of organization that does a lot of policy research. So if it's STEM policy, if it's technology policy that you're interested in, we can work with that type of organization. So thinking about like National Science Academy or something like that. At the graduate level, the placements are a little bit more specialized to you. So if you're interested in working specifically on something related to your discipline. So if you did a lot of research on energy, and you know much about the field, you would be beneficial with a very particular placement. And so our job is to make sure that we facilitate that for you in a way that satisfies you, but also helps you to grow a little bit, because we expect you may go on to maybe further your degree. If you're in a master's program, if you're defending, get a damn good job after. And we want to place you there so that you understand what it's like to have kind of the policy aspect of your career. I mentioned our scholarship program as well. We give scholarship monies from those at 2-year programs all the way through your PhD. So we just increase the money year to year. So I think it's like $1,500, then $2,500 for 4-year degrees, and then I think $5,000 for graduate studies. And then our high school programs, which hopefully we'll be able to bring out to New Mexico sometime soon. Those are, again, that college access and readiness. This is just a profile from a few years back of our applicants from across the state, participants from across the state. And the numbers aren't really representative of Latinos from across the state. And I use Latino as a very blanket term. I identify as Latino as somebody who comes from Mexican background. But that map kind of, it's not very accurate. I think you would agree, of all of the Latinos that exist. Look at New Mexico. How many people do you have here who may or may not identify as Latino? And we had 7 applicants that year. So our interest in being in the state right now is to get more of you interested in our programs, but not just programs of ours, but programs similar to ours that can bring you out to learn what it's like to talk about public policy in an effective way. And you may imagine that this conversation could have happened like 20, 30 years ago, but you're having it today in the realm of tech and STEM policy in a way that's just different, because technology's advanced so much in the past even 5 years. So talking about eligibility. Eligibility is generally the same across all of our programs, except for the public policy and graduate fellowship. For those, you have to be graduated. For the internship, you cannot have graduated by the time the program will end. So if you're applying for the spring, we expect you'll graduate in May. If you're applying for the summer, we expect you'll graduate no earlier than next August. So it's about a month after. We expect you to be, and that 3.0 is not required. I'm sure you all do very well. But the 3.0 is more of just an expectation that we expect you will have done well in your program. If not, we won't cut you out of being considered, but it's almost average of our applicant pool. Again, all majors are eligible to apply for this. So applying from a school like New Mexico Tech, all of you study a very hard science or something like math or something like physics, something that deals with science. So if you're applying to this program, you won't expect to be around students like that. You'll expect to be around students who study language or communications, English, like writing, like some linguistics, the kind of more random majors that you would find at a large institution. Those are the students that we get applications from. UNM maybe, yeah. Those are the students that we get applications from. And so we consider you to be kind of our STEM pool of candidates, but we do have STEM internships and fellowships. And so those are particular to those who come from your type of background. I know that this may not seem like a typical type of internship, because it's not, and you don't do any sort of the hard research that you may have done in other internships or expect to do in an internship from like a company, because CHCI won't provide that sort of corporate experience for you. But our experience is Capitol Hill that we provide. And so I think it's very precious to be in a member of Congress, the office of a member of Congress, because you voted for them or somebody voted for them. So it kind of reminds you, why were they elected? Why is the work important? What work do they do on a day-to-day basis that impacts your community back at home? So that's kind of bringing it full circle. And there's a lot that goes into that. We pay all of the program participants. So the interns get these stipends. They vary a little bit year to year. but those are the stipends for the summer and then the spring and the fall. We provide free round-trip airfare for all participants. So that's one trip to and from. So if you decide to use the trip back at a different time, you still have to go back and come back. We provide housing for the interns. So we house you local in the Washington, D.C. area. And then we also provide a metro stipend that comes to you because we expect that you'll need to use that to get into the office. These deadlines are not accurate, but they are close. It's November 7th of this year, or sorry, November 6th of this year will be that deadline. The January deadline is January 22nd, and then the May deadline is pushed up a little bit this year to April 22nd. And so they're still for the respective program dates. As requirements, we will require one letter of recommendation. So it could be from your discipline, it could be from a previous internship, can be from like a dean of your college, whichever that may be. We'll require essays. So the essays do focus on leadership. Are you all involved in different levels of organizations and stuff like that? Do you have SHIP here? No, you do have SHIP. Okay. So that's where we expect you may contribute a little bit more of your leadership background. Either that or back home thinking about the way that you know, your upbringing. I think that all plays into what you respond in your essays. I won't walk through this because it's very similar. Again, you're just graduated at this point. We also pay fellows. So we pay you while you're out with us every month. So you're paid bi-monthly, and that opportunity is for you to, we provide professional development funds as well. So we provide the stipend and then those funds as a way to help to compensate your experience with us. We don't provide housing, unfortunately, and a lot of our alumni choose to give back to the organization by offering some of our fellows some rent at cheaper rates just because they're fellows of our programs. We do provide that same the metro stipend every month, and we also provide health insurance. And we're proud to be able to do something like that. The deadline will be, again, pushed up a little bit to February 12th this year. And again, that's for you coming out of undergrad. And then graduate fellowship, I already explained it a little bit, but the deadline there is going to be pushed up to February 5th. So coming out of a PhD or coming out of a master's program, you can look to those deadlines. You are able to apply as a graduate fellow up to 3 years out. So you can work, again, go off and work for a little bit, and you can express interest up to 2 years out so that you join us up to 3 years out. So that 3-year mark is for you to join our organization after having graduated. Those are the amounts. So, okay, it was 1,000 and then 2,500, then 5,000. Same type of requirements. So we'll require you to write essays based on more your academic career. At the scholarship program level, it's more focused on the challenges that you've experienced as a student, whether it's financial or academic, because we want to know, why you need this funding from us and how you'll use it. We want to know that you're using it, in good faith, that you're doing a good job as a student in general. Not that you're necessarily getting top GPA, but that you're at least challenging yourself. We also host local internships, and so different organizations come to us and say, we want interns in different parts of the country. And so one example of this is our health scholar intern program, where you can work in different community level type organizations and intern there, and we'll pay you to do that as scholarship compensation. We also do this, if any of you are from the Florida area, which I don't think is the case here, we do a communications internship down in Miami. So if you're thinking of being in Miami for the summer, that would be a great opportunity for you. So I'll leave it here. I want to take any questions. And for those of you who came in a little bit late, I'll just reintroduce myself. My name is Eric. I grew up in Detroit, and I studied chemical engineering at the University of Michigan. So I graduated in 2012, and I decided to come out to CHCI's fellowship because I knew I wanted to do something more involved with the community. At the community level. I think that just came from my upbringing. And I think I chose engineering as a way to kind of train my mind to think critically versus going into practice of engineering. So when I came out to DC, that was my mindset. And DC has kept me there long enough to have me here with you today. So I think that the experience itself really opens your eyes up to politics and public policy in a very positive way. Growing up in Detroit, I never had a positive outlook on politics until recently. But I think it's a good program if you're thinking of transitioning into a world of public policy space. If you just want an experience to inform why you may be doing your certain program, whatever it is, I think that CHCI's internship or fellowship can really give you that great experience. So I'll leave it at that and take any questions, grab more pizza. I have our policy papers here that our fellows produce every year. So these are from different years if you want to come grab any. There's some on STEM policy, some on health and education policy, things like that.
Can you talk a little bit about how this internship or fellowship is going to help them in the job market later on, and what you guys' placement rate is?
Yeah. So our job placement rate, that's good. Our job placement rate is roughly 85 to 90% within 3 months of completing our program. And that is whether or not you go home. It doesn't matter. Our placement doesn't determine really, or I should say your involvement in our program doesn't necessarily determine where you get a job, but we help you. And I think that being out in DC really helps you to solidify maybe why you want to go into the career the career of your choice. And so thinking about competitiveness in a STEM market, I think that your experience in an internship or fellowship with us really gives you a perspective on policy. And a lot of the times, I worked at BASF, which is a chemical company. I worked there for a few months before coming out to DC. And I saw a lot of different regulations in the workplace. And so you see, and I'm sure maybe if you're in upper level labs, you'll see the same thing where, different organizations regulate the work that you do as a student. You may not realize it because you're in lab, but then you look back to the textbooks and yeah, like certain things, like you couldn't touch certain chemicals, or like certain chemicals couldn't be available. Certain technology wasn't available because it was in research phase. So those sorts of policies that exist in both education, both in kind of the federal space and then in the local space in your institutions, those are all policies. So when you're thinking about public policy, that's at the federal level, it's at the local level, at the state level. So when you think about then jobs, your competitive edge comes from understanding how those policies need to change. And that can come from any context, from the environment. It can come from thinking about technology, like kind of open access to the internet kind of stuff if you're into tech policy and kind of that digital divide space. So I think, again, going back to competitiveness, it teaches you how to think about why those policies exist the way that they do, how it impacts the Latino community, and how it needs to change. And I think that our program does a good job of at least immersing you into the place where you can learn how to do that sort of research, that legislative research.
Here at Tech, our internship numbers push about 92% placement. So once you've got an internship here, your chances of getting a job almost exponentially increase if you have an internship. So it looks a little bit better on your resume. Actually, it looks a lot better on your resume. And the internships, it seems like it doesn't even really matter what the internship is in. I know you all want to stay inside your field, but sometimes going to a broader spectrum internship and stretching your wings and something like this is going to look even better on your resume. I know we all, from the university aspect here, we all struggle with public speaking and writing and things like that because we're more into the science, into the research. So proving that you can do something like this is going to go a long way to making you a more well-rounded student, and it's going to make you even that much more desirable for companies out there.
Yeah, one thing they used to tell us in my program is that as engineers, you don't really do your job unless you can communicate. So you can do a bunch of really great research, but unless you tell people about it, it doesn't matter. And I think that a program like this really challenges you to communicate the work that you've done and the work that you want to do to better the world. Very, very general relation, but I think it does teach you how to communicate in a different space, because as a professional, you'll be working in either a corporate space, maybe in a research space, but then eventually you do need to produce reports. You need to produce data. You need to have a work product that's not so hard research focused. You have to back it up, and you'll be good at that. But then you have to communicate that in the way that people understand it. And I think our program really teaches you in a political sense how to do that well. and how to work with other people who want to see, you know, the same sort of change, just maybe don't understand how to make it happen because you have the research background.
I think you guys been in DC.
What'd you guys go for?
Leisure.
Leisure? You just went to put Close Up? Oh, really? They sponsor our high school programs. Well, they don't sponsor it. They partner with us, but they walk around with the students for the week. Yeah, a long time ago.
I went for a congressional hearing competition for high school. I don't know if you heard of We the People.
We the People?
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's just a congressional competition that they do that analyzes different areas of the Constitution and how it affects constituents as a whole.
Right.
My high school won the state competition for 2010.
Wow. That's great. That's great. So just those three, right?
Just religious youth leader experience, things like that youth groups out to.
Okay. Okay.
And Alliance ASI forum.
What was it? CSI?
Alliance ASI,
Like computer science?
like live.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's a great city.
Yeah, it's an amazing city. I'd recommend going at any time. It's kind of hot in the summer. It's humid. It's not like here. We talked about that on the way over.
It's not like it's really hot. So.
It's really hot. Did you have a question? Yeah. Well,
It's about this far above sea level.
it feels like it's even closer because it's so humid. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, thank you for your time. Again, come grab some of the policy papers up here. Just take a look at what our fellows have done. Each of these represents 9 months of really hard work. And while they may not be related to STEM issues, I think that it's worth just looking at and imagining some of the research that the fellows had to put into the papers. So thank you again.
So that's the site to go to.
Yeah, so visit, this resource right here, this is for other scholarships, other internships and fellowships outside of CHCI. To learn more about our programs, it's chci.org, and you just look up internships or fellowships. It's tabbed on the top.
And if you guys need help with your essays, because I know there's essays required for a lot of that,
Yeah.
we can help you with student affairs and also create an oral presentation workshop. We can help you guys with your essays too, if you need somebody to look over and make sure everything's, reads well.
Mhm.
We'll be able to help you in student affairs.
My advice to you, yeah.
In Spanglish.
Spanglish.
You definitely need to come see.
My advice to you guys at this point, especially at the undergraduate level, is to look into programs that will help you get a similar experience, but maybe more hard science. If you don't think that this is something for you, look into like the REU programs, which help you come out in the summer to any institution. It can take you out to Berkeley, can take you out to like Oregon State, and maybe you've never thought to try out Oregon State, but you'll try it for the summer. Organizations like that, they're funded federally. And so we are not funded federally, but we are also sponsored in different ways. They provide a similar opportunity for those in a STEM background. So again, if you feel like this may not be your cup of tea, that's fine. I just want you to explore something to continue having options for yourself for the springtime, for next summer, for the summer after next summer, because if you're a freshman, you got to plan ahead. So think about those things.
So I have international students in the room.
Yeah.
So, and they're able to work in the United States through a different program. Are they able to apply for this also?
Yeah, we're able to, as long as you're lawfully able to work in the United States, we are able to provide your employment through CHCI.
So would you have to send in the documentation of you being able to work here?
Yes. Yeah, but that, I should say also, that's not part of how we select participants. So we don't look to see unless you've disclosed it already, we don't look to see, and we actually have no way of seeing if you've disclosed your citizenship status, unless you volunteer it. And then we look at everybody's more human resources paperwork when they are selected and join us in the program. In order to give them benefits, we do need you to disclose that status.
So just apply.
Yeah, so basically just apply, and you don't need to disclose the status unless you want to, until the point where you may be admitted, because then we do require your work authorization. Any other questions? Yeah.
So I'm a second-year graduate student.
Okay.
I'm planning on graduating in May.
Okay.
Could I apply for the public policy and the graduate?
You wouldn't qualify because because you would have already obtained your master's.
Okay.
Yeah, but apply for the graduate fellowship, definitely. Yeah. What's your master's degree? Biology, yeah. Okay. Yeah, apply for the STEM graduate fellowship. I'd also recommend maybe the health graduate fellowship if you focused on any form of like nutrition health or kind of like bodily function health, things like that. That would be those applications are separate. So you'd want to take a look at those. Anything else? I don't want to dismiss you guys, and I'm not a teacher. So yeah, any questions though? And you can ask anything on, kind of, other ways to prepare your summers, your academic tracks, things like that. About being out in DC, it's so humid. Anything?
Cost of living is high, but everything else is pretty reasonable.
Yeah. Food's decent. Yeah. Food's not going to be like when you go home and cook though, so you'll have to learn how to kind of cater to other cultures' cooking.
So you said the housing was all paid. Does that include food, or are you on your own?
Yeah, you're kind of on your own for food. We do. I should say also the structure of our program is Monday through Thursday work week, and so when you're thinking about being in a congressional office or being in a federal agency office, you're there Monday through Thursday under the staff of that office. So we don't tell you what to do for that time. But then on Fridays, we have you for educational programming where we'll sit with you, bring guest speakers to talk about their own career trajectories. We may bring in certain members of Congress or members of the president's cabinet to come in and speak about, again, their personal career trajectories, but it's giving you access to those sorts of leaders that is more important to us in terms of exposing you to them. So yeah, thinking about, ways of feeding yourself. We do feed you on Fridays, but during the week, there are receptions. There are receptions and stuff where they may have companies sponsoring a reception, or like an office or Caucus will sponsor a reception. So there are ways to make it happen. Yeah.
Public transportation there's a lot better than it is here.
Yes, that's true.
And the Titanic Thai restaurant on Congressional Street is amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of different food. If you guys are used to like, mom's, what is it? Green chili, red chili, right? I've had it, it's good. But if you're used to that, you may not get that in DC unless you know how to make it really well. So, just kind of open yourself up to different food. Yeah. What?
No green chili out there.
There's none.
I think does not exist out there.
Unless you ship the chilies.
Any of you who get an internship
What?
and go to
They just sell it out there.
They do? Yeah, it's different though. It's different. I'll ship you green chili. How many of you think you may actually want to apply? Realistically. Okay. Well, I'm happy to talk to you. We have a very small staff. So we review applications. We don't do it on a rolling basis. So after the deadline, we push all of our applications to the reviewers. And those are all alum of our program. So they're alum, maybe not from a STEM background, which is why you need to kind of push your essays in a way that other people can understand your background and why it's important, things like that, to the different prompts. So after the reviewers from alum, then it comes to the staff, and then we see, okay, what did the alum say? And after that, then we begin making different interview offers and begin selecting folks. And so it takes about 10 weeks, and that's from the application deadline. So you may expect to hear back by April.
And the essays have titles that they have to write to or write towards.
No titles. Nope. The application, when you go online, you'll see it's just an essay prompt, and that's it. Yeah, you just respond within the prompt box. Yeah. Thinking about recommenders though, just think about a professor that you maybe worked under really well. Think about an old boss. It can even be like a high school principal if you're a little bit younger, who you think you did a lot of good work in the high school or in the community through. I think that those are all beneficial recommenders, and if you had a close relationship with them, that's really what we look for. So.
Where I go, I leave a trail behind me. It's hard to not.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of it. Anything else, guys? I feel a lot of questions you guys are answering. No? Or that you're not asking? No? Are they free to go? I don't know. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
We're not free to go. That's still